Let's go to Trizzy Slaps. Adam Thielen isn't getting any younger. You're right, he's about 34. Could Minnesota trade for A.J. Brown? Could they trade for him? Sure. I mean, I get it. A.J. was literally on Twitter, I believe on Tuesday, and he was like, oh, y'all think I'm a diva now, this and that. He doesn't sound very happy with some Titans fans, and I don't know if something like Deebo Samuel is going to transpire, but if he wanted to go to Minnesota, I actually think he would be a pretty good fit in that offense. It would be a very intriguing offense, and you're right. Adam Thielen isn't getting any younger, but the Vikings wouldn't be in my top 5 of A.J. Brown destinations. If A.J. Brown does up getting dealt, where do you think he ends up playing in 2022? Let's have a little bit of fun here, okay? Look into your crystal ball and tell me, where will A.J. Brown play in 2022? And I want you to have the mindset that it's not going to be with the Titans.
From Jamin Flagon, how many quarterbacks go in round 1? Good question. I think the over-under is roughly 2.5. Should be the over-under. Here are my top 5 QBs in this year's class, where I sit at this exact moment. And this is not going to change. I'm pretty much locked and loaded at this point. Malik Willis, number 1. I think those 2 guys go in round 1. I think the NFL's caught up with me, and I've had this list finalized for like 2 months now. Ritter's QB3 for me. But none of these guys have an actual first-round grade. There are some traits and some very real red flags. Now, on this list, I've got 10 teams that could go QB in round 1. But I want to go team by team here. The Lions, they should not go QB, because if you're not taking one at 2, which you shouldn't, why go on 32? So I don't think they go QB. The Giants have the need, but I don't think they're going to lock themselves in to a QB this year. So I'm going to cross them up. It's Carolina, I think they're going QB. Atlanta, I don't think in round 1, but maybe. Same with Seattle. I don't think in round 1. Maybe. Those are, I think, 2 of your wild card teams. Minnesota is your deep dark horse. If your new organization loves somebody, I don't think so. I think Philadelphia tries next year. The Saints could. I would bet one of the Saints or Steelers go QB at minimum this year. Saints have 2 picks. I wonder if they would prefer to go tackle receiver and give Winston a shot. Possible. The Steelers, meanwhile, I think they are going to take a QB if one slides to them at 20. So if Pickett's there or Willis is there, I think they take him. And then dark horse there is Tennessee. They kind of fall more in the Falcons-Saints category. In a normal class, if this was last year's class, you have 5, if not 6 or 7 going round 1. It would have been wild. But it's not last year's class. So I have the over, I think the books do right now too, at 2.5 QBs in round 1. Type O for over, U for under. If you can find a book out there that has 3.5 as the over-under, hammer the under, by the way.
Georgie boy, would you trade A.J. Brown of the Lions for the Lions' number 2 overall pick? So and if I was Detroit, I would say no to this. And a lot of times, an NFL team, when you talk about the top 5 picks, the value of those picks is insanely high. The top 3 picks is insanely high in terms of value. I understand how talented A.J. Brown is. No questions about it. A.J. Brown, though, for the number 2 overall pick, I don't think it's enough. Call me crazy. I don't think it's enough, and if I was Detroit, I would want more.
From Brokov, Khalil Shakir, Kyle Phillips, or Wan'Dale Robinson. 3 receivers who probably go 3rd round or 4th round. So Khalil Shakir is the wide receiver out of Boise. I've got a 4th round grade on him. I've got a very similar grade for Wan'Dale Robinson out of Kentucky. Both those guys are slots. They're undersized. And the same is true of Kyle Phillips, who is the 3rd for me on this list. But I've got, I always forget that he spells it with 1 L when I try to find him. I always get it wrong. 4th on him as well. Shakir and Robinson are higher on that board. I haven't stacked everyone, but I know my grades from that standpoint. So Khalil Shakir, Robinson, then Kyle Phillips. If you want more coverage on everything going on around the NFL, hit that big red button and subscribe. Not surprised to see a lot of draft questions right now. The draft is less than 2 weeks away. Hell, it's about a week away at this point. And I'm still cranking through my big board so we know what we're talking about come draft time, baby. If you haven't already, subscribe for the best YouTube coverage on the NFL at youtube.com/chatsportstv. From Lunds, what team needs the best draft to become contenders? Ooh, good question. I think you're looking at a team like the Saints. They are close to contenders, have two first-round picks. I think Philadelphia also fits that category.
Let's go to Jared Sanchez. Who's more likely to get traded on draft night? Deebo Samuel or Kyler Murray? I'm going to go Deebo Samuel because quarterbacks trades, they get a lot more crazy. And yes, this has been the one off season where trades, you just never know what's going to happen. But Kyler Murray's camp at this current point hasn't said that they want to be traded. Deebo Samuel has requested a trade. So for that reason and that reason alone, I'm going to go ahead and say Deebo Samuel. So with the first round pick, well, every single year the team that gets number one pick is usually the worst team in the National Football League. So who's the worst team in the NFL as it stands right now? I get who has the number one pick. That doesn't mean that they're the worst team right now because free agency happened. But if you were to tell me, Mitch, season starts tomorrow, who do you think is the worst team in the NFL? Let me know down in the comments.
NFL Daily is now also on Rumble. We have free and uncensored content for you guys. There's also sports, news, politics, tech and business from other video people on that platform. We're trying to grow the platforms you guys use. So if you're on Rumble, give us a follow, rumble.com/NFL Daily. And if you're not, go support us so we can dominate that video platform as well. From Taylor, is Antonio Brown's NFL career over? I didn't scream this time. There you go, JT. I think it should be. How many chances does one guy get? Every spot he's gone, it has been a disaster. So I think it should be because he is not worth the drama.
As it stands right now, before the NFL draft, who is the best team in the National Football League? It's a good question. Are you going to go with the defending champs, the Rams? What about Tom Brady and the Bucs? Oh, yeah. The AFC is loaded. Could it be the Chiefs, the Bills, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Browns? Like, there are so many teams out there. The Dolphins. I mean, who's the best team in the NFL? If you were to bet money right now on the team that wins the Super Bowl, who would it be? And then remember, I'm going to ask this question in 2 weeks from now after the NFL draft. I want to see if the answers remain the same. What's up, Vince? Who is the more valuable pick? Stingley or Jameson Williams? It depends on what your biggest need is, right? If you need a corner, it's Stingley. If you need a wide receiver, I'd say it's Jameson Williams. I don't see Derek Stingley falling out of the top 15. There is a draft where I could see Jameson Williams falling out of round 1. I don't think it happens, but I could make that argument more because of the injury. If an NFL team's not 100% sure if Williams is going to be ready for week 1, maybe they decide to go with a player like Jahad Dotson, Treylon Burks, Drake London. Like, the wide receiver market is a lot deeper. So depending on, let's say, if Stingley goes at 15 compared to Jameson Williams going at 25, I'll say the better value is Williams because if Williams is healthy, it's probably the first receiver taken off the board. So I'm going to go Jameson Williams. What up, Christopher C? My top 3 hot takes for the draft. Love hot takes. Matt Corral goes number 6. Kyle Hamilton falls out of the top 10. And McDuffie goes before Stingley. Thoughts? I'll actually say that Kyle Hamilton falling out of the top 10 is the most likely. And it's not because I don't like Hamilton. It's because every single year, safeties, it's hard to predict where safeties go, whether that be in free agency, whether that be the draft. Why? Because it's starting to turn into a position where the value is going down. And the fact that Hamilton had as bad of a combine as he did, I can understand it. But let me tell you this, if I was an NFL team and Kyle Hamilton fell out of the top 10, I would look to trade up because to me, he's a top 5 overall prospect. What up, Sammy Silver? How many first-round draft day trades do you see happening? Good question. So I originally said I would set the over-under at about 3.5. I'm going to go ahead and take 4 simply because this draft to me is going to be wonky with quarterbacks. And if quarterbacks start to slide down the board, I think trades could start happening. Even certain wide receivers, and even though the really good defensive draft, really good offensive line draft as well, That's not sexy names. I still think that teams are going to be looking at those quarterbacks, looking at those wide receivers and trading up. So my number is going to be 4, but you guys can let me know. Type O for over 3.5 or perfect. This is even better. How many trades happen in round 1? What do you think? 4, 3, 2? My number is going to be 4. What do you think, Orange Man Gator Bolt? What do you think over there, Boomer Raiders 75? And then my opinion says 2. John Santos says 3. Well, guess what? We're going to find out sooner rather than later.